Now there were two old ducks, and their names were Mr. and Mrs. Priddle Praddle Pruddle Duck, and all they wanted in all of this world was to have 5 lovely little ducks. That's ducklings to you or me. And when they looked in their nest, well, what did they see? Well, count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eggs. Now the first egg was big as your hand, and the second egg was big as your other hand. Now the third egg was only as big as your thumb. The fourth egg was as long as your arm. But the fifth egg was a different size and a different shape and a different colour. But Mr. and Mrs. Priddle Praddle Pruddle Duck sat down on the eggs and they waited. And they waited, and they waited, and they waited, and they waited. There was a scrit and a scratch and a crick and a crack, and the first egg opened up, and out came a little duck. That's a duckling to you or me. And it looked at its mother, and it smiled, and it danced this way and that, and it said, quack. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Priddle Praddle Pruddle Duck were very pleased indeed, and then they sat down on the eggs, and they waited. And they waited, and they waited, and they waited, and they waited. There was a scrit and a scratch and a crick and a crack, and the second egg opened up, and out came a little duck. That's a duckling to you or me. And it looked at its mother and father, and it looked at its brother, and it said, quack. Now the first one said, quack, and the second one said, quack. Then Mr. and Mrs. Priddle Praddle Pruddle Duck decided to sit down on the egg that was only as big as your thumb. And they sat down very carefully, and they waited, 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 and they waited. There was a scrit and a scratch and a crick and a crack, and out came the smallest little duck. That's a duckling to you or me that you've ever seen in your life, but it might have been small, but it had a very big voice. And it said, quack, as loud as you like. The first duck said, quack. The second duck said, quack. But the third duck said, quack, as loud as you like. And now there were only 2 eggs left. And Mr. and Mrs. Priddle Praddle Pruddle Duck sat down on the egg that was as long as your arm, and they sat down and they waited, 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 and they waited. There was a scrit and a scratch and a crick and a crack, and out came the biggest little duck. That's a duckling to you or me that you've ever seen in your life, but it had a very small voice, and it said, quack, as quiet as a mouse. Now the first duck said, quack, and the second duck said, quack. But the third duck said, quack, as loud as you like. Duck number 4 said, quack, as quiet as a mouse. And now there was only 1 egg left, a different size, a different shape, a different colour. But Mr. and Mrs. Priddle Praddle Pruddle Duck sat down on the egg, and they waited, 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 and they waited. There was a scrit and a scratch and a crick and a crack, and the 5th egg opened up, and out came the strangest looking little duck you've ever seen in your life. That's a duckling to you or me. And it smiled, and it didn't say quack. It said, quick, 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 quick. Quick, quick, said Mr. and Mrs. Priddle Praddle Pruddle Duck. Quick, 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 quick. And the 5th little duck, the duckling, smiled and did say, quick, 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 quick. Now the first duck said quack, and the second duck said quack. The third duck said quack, as loud as you like. Duck number 4 said quack, as quiet as a mouse. But that 5th duck couldn't stop itself. That little duckling kept saying, quick, 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 quick. Oh, what'll we do? Oh, what'll we say when people find out that we've got a little duck, a duckling, that says quick and not quack? But Mr. and Mrs. Priddle Praddle Pruddle Duck, they walked along with their 5 little ducklings, and they came to where there was a field, and inside of the field there was a man, and the man was digging and digging and digging, and he was hot, 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 and he stopped his work because he was so hot. And the first duck said, quack. And the second duck said, quack. But the third duck said, quack, as loud as you like. Duck number 4 said, quack, as quiet as a mouse. But the fifth duck said, quick, 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 quick. Quick, 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 said the farmer, because that was who it was, digging in the field as hot as you like. He thought it was the farmer's wife telling him to dig so quick, and he dug so quick, and he'd finished his work as quick as that, all because he'd heard a little duck say quick and not quack. And he was finished, and in time for his dinner. And he went home and he had a good cool drink and some cake, all because he'd heard a little duck, that's a duckling to you or me, say quick and not quack. Oh, what'll we do? Oh, what'll we say when people find out that we've got a duck that says quick and not quack? Said Mr. and Mrs. Priddle Praddle Pruddle Duck. But that afternoon they were walking along, and who was there a-cycling on his bike with a pack and a sack at his back filled with letters for you and for me? It was the postman. And he stopped and he looked, and the first duck said quack, and the second duck said quack, but the third duck said quack, as loud as you like. And duck number 4 said quack, as quiet as a mouse. But the fifth duck said, quick, 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 quick. Oh, quick, quick, said the postman. And he thought it was the postmaster telling him to post his letters so quick. And he took the letters from the pack and the sack at his back and posted them as quick as that. And he was finished. All of his work was finished. And he was in time for his tea and a kiss and a cuddle from his children 3. All because he'd heard a little duck say quick and not quack. Oh, what'll we do? Oh, what'll we say when people find out that we've got a duck that says quick and not quack? Said Mr. and Mrs. Priddle Praddle Pruddle Duck. But that night, when the snow was coming down, who was there all dressed up in his jacket blue to look after me, to look after you? It was the policeman. And he went outside and he stopped the traffic. And to say thank you, the first duck said quack, and the second duck said quack, but the third duck said quack, as loud as you like. Duck number 4 said quack, as quiet as a mouse. But the fifth duck said quick, 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 quick. No, the policeman didn't shout or run or scream or yell. He just said quick, quick, where? And he listened, and he could hear a dog barking as loud and as quick as you like. And it was old Tom's dog that was barking so loud and so quick. Now the policeman, he went to where old Tom's dog was barking, old Tom, who was as old as the hills and beyond. And he found that old Tom had slipped on the ice, fallen down on his back as quick as that. And the policeman picked him up and dusted him down and made him as right as rain. But old Tom's dog, he looked around and said, where is that clever little duck? Oh, sorry, that duckling that says quick and not quack. And the first duck said quack, and the second duck said quack, but the third duck said quack, as loud as you like. Duck number 4 said quack, as quiet as a mouse. But the fifth duck said quick, 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 quick. Oh, you are a clever little duck, sorry, a duckling that says quick and not quack. But Mr. and Mrs. Priddle Praddle Pruddle Duck said, old Tom's dog, can you help us? We want our little duck to say quack and not quick. Well, old Tom's dog smiled and said, of course, I can. I'll teach your little duck. And old Tom's dog took that little duckling that said quick and not quack, and he taught it how to dance. And it danced this way and that, and it danced all around. Then he taught that little duckling to say bark. It said bark over here. It said quick over there. Quick and bark and bark and quick and bark and quack and quick and quack, quack. And then the duck said quack. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, said old Mr. and Mrs. Priddle, praddle, prudle, duck. You've helped us. What can we get you? What could we give you for helping us? Now old Tom's dog smiled and said, meow. It was nothing. I would like to have. I would like to have. And they all thought he was going to say a bone. I would like to have a saucer of milk. A saucer of milk for a dog. But they brought that milk. And old Tom's dog, he lapped it up. And that little duck that said quick and not quack lay down beside him. And as it fell asleep so quickly, it said, quack, 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 quick, 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 quick. And it fell fast asleep. But old Tom's dog, he didn't roar and he didn't snore. When he fell asleep, old Tom's dog, with a little duckling lying beside him, went prrr, prrr, meow, prrr. Now Molly was a little girl, and she had brown curly hair that stuck up from the top of her head this way and that, and she had beautiful bright blue eyes, and a big red nose in the middle of her face, and when you squeezed it, it went onk, 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 because Molly was a clown. She loved being a clown because the drums would rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat, and the cymbals would crash, 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 and the music would play, and she would be there with a coat which held every colour of the rainbow inside of it, and at the collar of this coat there was a flower that was made out of plastic. And in the middle of the flower there was a hole, and at the back of the hole there was a tube, and at the bottom of the tube there was a balloon that was filled with ice cold water. And when she squeezed it, the water would go over everyone's face. Now everyone would laugh, and they'd rub their faces and rub their hair and hope that Molly would squirt them. And she had trousers that came out to here, and on her feet she had flippity-flappity, clippity-clappity shoes, and she could juggle as she stood in the front of the music and the lions and the tigers and the elephants, and she could walk on her hands. And her mother was right beside her, because Molly's mother was a clown too. And the two of them would stand and walk and parade at the front of all of the circus as it went through the town. But there were some grumpy girls and bullying boys, and when Molly squirted them with the water, they just stood there and said, Molly, Molly is a clown, we don't want her in our town. What a terrible thing for anyone to say about anyone. And they would say it again. Molly, Molly is a clown, we don't want her in our town. Molly, Molly is a clown, we don't want her in our town. And poor old Molly, her heart felt like a stone inside of her chest. And when she went to school the very next day, all of her friends were there. And Molly had lots of friends. They would say, Molly, 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 what's the matter with you? And Molly told them about the bullying boys and the grumpy girls and the terrible things that they'd said. But all of her friends were good friends, and they said, you don't want to take any notice of them. Don't listen to what those bullying boys and grumpy girls say. We like you. We like the way that you look with your brown hair that sticks up this way and that. We like the way that you can juggle. We like the way that you can walk on your hands. And you don't have to take any notice of them. And Molly would play with her friends, and when it came to the next Saturday and the circus parade was going to go through the town, Molly was there as proud as you like, with her brown hair sticking up this way and that, her bright blue eyes and a big red nose, and if you squeezed it, it went onk, onk, onk. And the flower on the collar of her beautiful jacket. And she would squirt people, and they would laugh and rub their faces. And all of the lions and the tigers and the strong men were all behind as the music rat-a-tat-tat on the drums, and the cymbals crashed, crash, 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 crash. And the music would play. But when she came to those bullying boys and those grumpy girls, she took that flower and she squeezed it. And they said, Molly, Molly is a clown. We don't want her in our town. Well, Molly knew that her friends were right. They didn't have to call her names, and she wasn't going to let them. And she stood there, and as she got closer to them, the drums got quieter, and the cymbals got quieter, crash, 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 and the music was quiet too. And she walked right over to those bullying boys and grumpy girls, and she was just about to tell them that she wasn't going to let them call her names, when they did what all bullies do. They ran away. Molly smiled to herself. Yes, I showed them. They're not going to call me names. No, I'm... And as she sniffed the air, she could smell smoke from a fire, and she looked all around, and she saw that at the corner of the field, with the hot sun up in the sky, the grass had caught fire and was starting to burn. Well, Molly didn't wait for a wink or a blink, and over she went. And she took that balloon of ice-cold water, and she took her flower, and she squirted it on the flames, and the flames died down. And Molly, well, she was such a good girl that she'd saved everybody and she'd put out the fire. And an old man who was watching looked and said, "Young girl, you are a very clever girl. You have done everybody a good turn." And at that moment, Molly's mother ran back with a flippity-floppity, clippity-clappity shoes, and she said, "Molly, Molly, Molly, where have you been? What have you been doing?" The old man just smiled and said, "You should be very proud of your daughter. She put that fire out. She thought very hard about what she should do. She's very brave." Soon, everybody got to hear about how brave Molly had been. And the next Saturday, when the drums would rattle, rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat, and the cymbals crashed, crash, 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 and the music played, Molly was there at the front of all of the lions and tigers and elephants and giraffes and the strong man and all of the people from the circus and those bullying boys and grumpy girls. They'd heard about Molly, but this time they said, "Molly, Molly is a clown. She's the best girl in the town. Molly, Molly is a clown. She's the best girl in the town. Molly, Molly is a clown. She's the best girl in the town." And Molly couldn't stop herself. She knew that she'd done such a good thing, that she had a smile on her face, and as the drums got quieter and quieter, and the cymbals crashed, crash, 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 and the music got quiet too, Molly had the biggest smile on her face that you ever did see. Now there was a town, and this town was filled with houses, and all of the houses surrounded a square. And in the middle of the town, in the middle of the square, everyone would go dancing. Now on a Monday they would merengue. On a Tuesday they would twist. On a Wednesday they would waltz. On a Thursday they would tango. But on a Friday it was for families. Fridays for the family. And that was the way that it was. And people would dance over here, and they'd dance over there. They'd dance up, they'd dance down, and they'd dance all around. And there was a family with a father and a mother and a sister and a brother and a baby. Now, they all loved to dance. Well, when I say they all loved to dance, the baby, even though she was so very small, when she heard the music or saw anybody dancing, she would go, "Oh!" And they would say, "Lily, Lily, Lily, you'll like to dance when you get older." But when she could talk, she would say, "Don't want to dance. I don't like to dance. You can't make me dance. I don't want to dance." And they said, "Lily, Lily, Lily, you will like to dance when you get older." But she didn't. When she got older, she would stand up and she would put her hands into fists and go, "I don't want to dance. I don't like to dance. You can't make me dance. I don't want to dance." And it meant that all of the family couldn't all go together. The father or the mother or the sister or the brother would have to stay back at home with Lily. And when they could hear the music as it came in through the window, they couldn't stop themselves. The mother, the father, the sister or the brother would start to sway this way or that, and Lily would go, "I don't want to dance. I don't like to dance. You can't make me dance. I don't want to dance." And they would have to stop. When Lily got older, she would stand up and she would go, "Don't want to dance. I don't like to dance. You can't make me dance. I don't want to dance." And she did have lots of friends, and everyone in the town loved to dance, all except for Lily. And when they saw her coming close, instead of dancing over here and dancing over there, they would stand stock still and they wouldn't move until Lily had gone. Or they would play other games that didn't involve dancing. And Lily would always say, "I don't want to dance. I don't like to dance. You can't make me dance. I don't want to dance." But one day when she was much older, when she came into the school, she looked and she saw that there was a big picture up on the wall, and it said that there would be a dancing competition to find out who was going to be the best dancer in all of the town. Well, people were very excited. All of Lily's friends would dance over here. They'd dance over there. They'd dance up, they'd dance down, and they danced all around. But Lily kept saying, "I don't want to dance. I don't like to dance. You can't make me dance. I don't want to dance." But the dancing competition was going to be judged by Alfonso, the waltzing woodcutter from Peterlee. He would come into the room. No, Alfonso the waltzing woodcutter never just came into a room. He twisted and he twirled and he clapped his hands twice, or once and twice, and he stood in front of all of the children sitting down in the school hall, ready and willing and waiting to take their turn at the dance. And he said, "Let the dancing begin." A boy got up and danced, and it was as if he had wings on his feet. He floated through the air, and a girl got up and she danced this way and that, and twisted and turned and jumped so high. And Alfonso was looking and he said, "That boy's a good dancer." The girl's a good dancer. 5 boys got up and danced, and they danced in a circle, and figures of 8, and this way and that, and they used all of the hall. And poor old Alfonso, he scratched his chin, and he rubbed his head, and he thought, the boy was a good dancer, the girl's a good dancer, those 5 boys are good dancer. Oh, no. And then 10 girls got up and danced. They danced over each other's shoulders, between each other's legs, around and around. They twisted and turned, and all of the time Lily was sitting there at the corner of all of the children going, I don't want to dance. I don't like to dance. You can't make me dance. I don't want to dance. Alfonso was getting very worried. The boy, the girl, the 5 boys, the 10 girls had all danced so beautifully. And he looked, and he saw Lily at the edge of all of the children going, I don't want to dance, I don't like to dance, you can't make me dance, I don't want to dance. And he said, excuse me, but, you girl. And he scratched his chin, and he rubbed his head. You girl, you haven't got up and danced. Everybody gasped. He's asking Lily to get up and dance. Lily stood up and she went, I don't want to dance. I don't like to dance. You can't make me dance. I don't want to dance. Alfonso looked and he said, I'm sorry, but I can't hear you. Lily went, I don't want to dance. I don't like to dance. You can't make me dance. I don't want to dance. Alfonso looked and he went, oh, that's the funniest thing I've ever heard. And Alfonso went, I don't want to dance. I don't like to dance. You can't make me dance. I don't want to dance. And he twisted and twirled and he sat himself down and he went, I was very worried in case I had to tell somebody they weren't the best dancer. You were all very good dancers, but this girl, and he pointed at Lily, this girl is the best dancer. Everybody gasped. You said... He said, yes, she's the best dancer. She sang and she danced and she made me laugh and... Come here. Lily went to the front of all of the children and was given a huge, round, shining, golden cup. She held it in her hands and a photograph was taken. And a photograph was there on the front of the Shields Gazette. And it said, Lily is the best dancer. Lily looked into the huge, round, shining, golden cup and could see that there was some money inside. And it wasn't £10, and it wasn't £20, it wasn't £30, it wasn't £40, it was £50. When people saw her, they would look at her and say, Lily, 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 what are you going to buy with the £50? Lily looked and said, I'm going to buy. I think I'm going to buy with the £50, I'm going to buy a pair of dancing shoes. And from that time, whenever anybody saw Lily, she would say, I do want to dance. I do like to dance. You can make me dance. I do want to dance. And she'd twist and twirl and go, I do want to dance. I do like to dance. You can make me dance. I do want to dance.